Alô? É, E aí? Eu fiquei um tempo sem gravar, mas estou voltando agora em um cenário novo. Eu tive que me mudar e nessa mudança acabou complicando um pouco para gravar, mas agora eu estou voltando. E é isso. Eu não deixei de fazer o Duolingo nesse período, só não fiz o LingQ que nem o francês, mas. Eita, o barulho é um pouco mais alto aqui. E é isso. Estou aqui no dia 343 e dá pra ver a sequência aqui? Não dá pra ver. E é isso.
He hated working on Saturdays.
He hates working on Saturdays.
Who made coffee?
Who made coffee? Who made
Who made coffee? Who made coffee?
Who made coffee?
Cook. Cook.
The cook wanted a large background kitchen. This is actually working for that company. He hates it so much. Here's your bottle of wine beach bananas. Eu odeio trabalhar aos sábados. I hate working on Saturdays. Tell, contar.
Great.
Ótimo.
Company.
Empresa. Add. Não gostaria de uma pizza plena. We won't like a large pizza.
Hate.
Review.
Company.
Order.
O cozinheiro fazia pontas das manhãs. The cook made bread every morning.
My friend told me about the job.
My friend told me about the job. Emma vai lembrar o nome dela. Emma is going to change her name. Our walls were white, but Arthur changed the
Color.
And now they are blue. Eles não vendem cerveja nem vinho. They don't sell beer or wine. Anúncios podem ser engraçados. Ads can be funny. Ads can be funny. É isso. Feito o Duolingo. Passar pro LingQ aqui. Não, passar pro francês, depois pro LingQ. Qual desses é o café?
Le café.
Le café.
Café.
O chá.
Le thé.
Le thé. Thé.
Le thé.
O chá. Le thé.
La cuisine.
La cuisine.
Un homme cuisine.
Un homme cuisine. Um homem cozinha. Refeição.
Le repas.
Le repas.
Un repas.
Um repas. Uma refeição.
La femme mange le repas.
La femme mange le repas. La femme mange le repas. Qual dessas imagens é a bebida?
La boisson.
Lamboison.
La boisson.
Uma bebida. Lamboison. Você está comendo uma panqueca.
Tu manges une
crêpe.
crêpe.
Tu manges uma crêpe. Eu estou comendo uma panqueca.
Je
mange
la crêpe.
Je mange la crêpe. Eu gosto de panqueca. Je gosto. É o mesmo que amar. J'aime
La
crêpe. J'aime la crêpe. Francês feito. Agora passar pro LingQ aqui.
Next, a story about Mary, who loves to read. Mary used to only read paper books.
Mary used to only read paper books.
For most of her life, the idea of an electronic book didn't even exist.
Of an electronic book didn't even exist.
All reading materials used to be printed on paper.
All reading materials used to be printed on paper.
However, now there are other ways to read.
However, now there are other ways to read.
In recent years, more and more people have started to
In recent years, more and more people have started to read books on mobile devices.
read books on mobile devices. People can read on their phones,
People can read on their phones,
their electronic tablets,
their electronic tablets,
or on dedicated e-book
or on dedicated e-book readers
readers like Kindle, if
like
they want to.
Kindle if they want to.
Mary prefers the convenience of reading on a mobile device
Mary
Prefers.
prefers the convenience of reading on mobile device
because she always has her reading material with her.
because she always has her reading materials with her.
She finds e-books are especially handy when she is traveling.
She finds a book are especially handy when she is traveling,
Since carrying books in her luggage can be inconvenient.
since carrying books in her language can be
Inconvenient.
inconvenient.
She is also able to order any book she wants at a moment's notice via the internet.
She is also able to order any books she wants at a moment's
Notice.
notice
Via.
via the internet.
Her husband George, however,
Her husband George, however,
prefers to hold a traditional paper book in his hands.
prefers to hold her
Her.
her husband George, however, prefers to hold a traditional paper books in his hands.
He simply finds it a more comfortable and
He
Simply.
finds it a more comfortable
agreeable reading experience.
and reading experience.
George also likes spending time in bookstores
George also likes spending time in bookstores
and libraries
and libraries
just to see what kinds of books are available.
just to see what kind of books are
Available.
available.
George tends to buy books, but
George tends to buy books,
Mary just takes a note
but Mary just takes a note
of the names of interesting books
of the names of interesting books
so that she can order the ebook version online
so that she can order the ebook version online
and read it on her portable device.
and read it on her portable device.
Now, Mary tells the story. For many years, I only read paper books.
For many years, I only read paper books.
For most of my life, the idea of an electronic book didn't even exist.
For most of my life, the idea of electronic books didn't even exist.
All reading material was printed on paper.
All reading material was printed on paper.
However, a few years ago, I discovered new ways to read.
However, a few years ago, I discovered new ways to read.
I noticed that more and more people were starting to read books on mobile devices.
I noticed, não sei pronunciar isso, that more and more people were starting to read books on mobile devices.
I saw people reading on their phones, their electronic tablets,
I saw people reading on their phones, their electronic tablets,
or on dedicated ebook readers like
or on dedicated books readers like Kindle.
I must say that I now prefer the convenience of reading on a mobile device.
I must say that I now prefer the convenience of reading on mobile device
Because I always have my reading material with me.
because I always have my reading material with me.
I have found that ebooks are especially handy when traveling.
I have found that ebooks are especially handy when traveling,
Since carrying books in my luggage can be inconvenient.
since carrying books in my language can be inconvenient.
What is more, I can order any book I want
What's more, I can order any books I want
at a moment's notice via the internet.
at the moment's notice via the internet.
My husband George, however, prefers traditional paper books.
My husband George, however, prefers traditional paper books.
He says that he finds them a more comfortable and agreeable reading experience.
He says that he finds a more comfortable and
Agreeable.
reading
Experience.
experience.
He is just old-fashioned in my view.
He is just old and fash. Nossa, essa palavra aqui é foda.
George
Fash, não sei pronunciar, mas eu.
spends too much time in bookstores and libraries
George spends too much time in bookstores and libraries
just to see what kinds of books are available.
just to see what kind of book are available.
He might buy a book in the store after browsing.
He
Might.
might buy
Buy.
a book in the store after browsing.
However, I prefer to just write down the
However, I prefer to just write down the names of interesting books.
names of interesting books. Then I can order the ebook version
Then I can order the ebook version online
online and read it on my portable device.
and read it on my portable device.
Now I'll ask some questions about the story.
Now I ask some questions about the story.
1. For most of her life, the idea of an electronic book didn't even exist.
For most of her life, the idea of electronic books didn't even exist.
What idea didn't even exist for most of her life?
What idea didn't even exist for most of her life?
The idea of an electronic book didn't even exist for most of her life.
The idea of an electronic book didn't even exist for most of her life.
2. In recent years, more and more people have started to read books on mobile devices.
In recent years, more and more people have started to read books on mobile devices.
When have people started to read books on mobile devices? People have started to read books on mobile devices in recent years.
People have started to read books on mobile devices in recent years.
3. She finds ebooks are especially handy when she is traveling.
She finds the books are especially handy when she is traveling.
When does Mary find ebooks especially handy?
When does Mary find books especially handy?
She finds ebooks are especially handy when she is traveling.
She finds books are especially handy when she is traveling.
4. She is also able to order any book she wants at
She is also able to order any book she wants at
a moment's notice via the internet.
moment's notice via the internet.
What is she able to order at a moment's notice?
What is she able to order at the moment's
Notice.
Mary is able to order any book she wants at a moment's notice.
Mary is able to order any book she wants at the moment's notice.
5. My husband George, however, prefers traditional paper books.
My husband George, however, prefers traditional paper books.
Does her husband George prefer ebooks or traditional paper books?
Does her husband
Does. Her.
George prefer ebooks or traditional paper books?
He prefers traditional paper books.
He prefers traditional paper books.
George spends too much time in bookstores and libraries
George spends too much time in bookstores and libraries
just to see what kinds of books are available.
just to see what kind of books are
Available.
available.
How much time does George spend in bookstores and libraries?
How much time does George spend in bookstores and libraries?
He spends too much time in bookstores and libraries.
He spends too much time in bookstores and libraries.
7. He might buy a book in the store after browsing.
He might buy a book in the store after
Browsing.
browsing.
When might George buy a book?
When might George buy a book?
He might buy a book in the store after browsing.
He might buy a book in the store after browsing.
8. However, I prefer to just write down the names of interesting books.
However, I prefer to just write down the names of the interesting books.
What do I prefer to do in bookstores and libraries?
What do I prefer to do in bookstores and libraries?
I prefer to just write down the names of interesting books.
I prefer to just write down the names of interesting books. Ai,
Next, a story
concluído aqui. Concluído, né? Passar aqui pro francês, agora com o YouTube. Eu tava procurando alguns canais há um tempo e eu acabei não separando direito aqui pro vídeo, mas eu vou clicar nesse primeiro aqui, porque é curto, e praticar o básico do inglês e do francês.
Hello. Bonjour.
Hello, bonjour.
How are you?
How are you?
Comment allez-vous?
Comment allez-vous?
I'm fine.
I'm fine.
Je vais bien.
Je vais bien.
And you?
And you?
Et vous?
Et vous?
I am a little tired.
I am a little tired.
Je suis un peu fatiguée.
Putz, je suis un peu fatigué.
A little tired. Je suis un peu fatiguée.
Je suis un peu fatigué.
My name is Alex.
My name is Guilherme.
Je m'appelle Alex.
Je m'appelle Guilherme.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Ravi de vous rencontrer.
Ravi de vous rencontrer.
Where are you from?
Where are you from?
D'où venez-vous?
D'où venez-vous?
I'm from the United States.
I'm from the United States.
Je viens des États-Unis.
Je viens des États-Unis.
What city are you from?
What city are you from?
De quelle ville venez-vous?
De quelle ville venez-vous?
I'm from New York.
I'm from New York.
Je viens de New York.
Je viens de New York.
How's your family?
How's your family?
Comment va votre famille?
Como va votre famille?
Very good.
Very good.
Très bien.
Très bien.
How many siblings do you have?
How many siblings do you have?
Combien de frères et sœurs avez-vous?
Putz, combien de frères et sœurs avez-vous? Nossa, esse daqui.
Avez-vous? Combien de frères
Combien de frères
et sœurs avez-vous?
et sœurs avez-vous?
I have 2 sisters.
I have 2 sisters.
J'ai 2 sœurs.
J'ai 2 sœurs. J'ai 2 sœurs.
What are you thinking about?
What are you thinking about?
À quoi pensez-vous?
À quoi pensez-vous?
I have homework.
I have homework.
J'ai des devoirs.
J'ai des devoirs.
It's easy.
It's easy.
C'est facile.
C'est facile.
It's difficult.
It's difficult.
C'est difficile.
C'est difficile.
What do you study?
What do you study?
Qu'est-ce que vous étudiez?
This. Nossa, esse aqui pegou.
Qu'est-ce que vous étudiez? Study. Qu'est-ce que vous étudiez?
Des que vous estudiez.
I study French.
I study French.
J'étudie le français.
J'étudie de français.
What time is it?
What time is it?
Quelle heure est-il?
Quelle heure? Nossa, essa pronúncia aqui é muito rápida, tinha que ser um trem mais devagar.
I need to go to the airport.
I need to go to the airport.
Je dois aller à l'aéroport.
Je dois aller au parc.
What's your phone number?
What's your phone number?
Quel est votre numéro de
Que é votre número
téléphone?
de telefone?
Call me.
Calma.
Appelle-moi.
Appelle-moi.
See you later.
See you later.
À plus tard.
À plus tard.
See you soon.
See you
À
soon.
bientôt.
À bientôt.
Where are the taxis?
Where are the taxis?
Où sont les taxis?
Où sont les taxis?
To the airport, please.
To the airport, please.
À l'aéroport, s'il vous
À l'aéroport, s'il vous plaît.
plaît. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Au revoir.
Au revoir. Tá. Não era exatamente esse vídeo que eu tinha separado. Eu tinha separado uma playlist, mas eu não sei onde tá. Pode ser que seja um desses links aqui. E aí eu vou continuar deles, porque esse vídeo foi bom, mas a pronúncia é muito rápida. E, enfim, é isso. Valeu aí pra quem assistiu. E é isso aí. Tchau.